Hello. Today I will be doing a video on Spell. A successful, wealthy father and his family go back to the South after his dad passes away. They end up in a plane crash and things take an even bigger turn for the worst. I forgot what this movie was about, but saw it on my watch list. When the movie first starts, I wasn't really feeling the characters, thus it made it hard for me to pay attention. I kept spacing out and had to rewind a couple of times. The lead character is dealing with PTSD from abuse from his dad when he was a kid. It wasn't until after the plane crash when we meet Loretta Devine, who plays Eloise, and my goodness, she brought this movie to life, and I was suddenly excited. Soon after, it started to remind me of Misery from 1990, but definitely not as good. Although there was a brief moment when the lead character throws up after realizing something, and his acting was good. I also liked the score. It was chilling. I ended up having problems with it, especially in the second half. This is a minor spoiler, but how is he not bleeding out after pulling this giant nail out of his foot? There's no way a thin piece of cloth wrapped around his foot would have stopped the flow. And he's walking around the house and not leaving any blood anywhere. Also, the way he finds out why he's being held in captivity is too convenient. It's almost like they knew the runtime was running out and they needed to wrap everything up for the big finale. So they did things that were out of character for the antagonist. And the fact that they stuck that big nail in his foot was supposed to be an explanation, but the whole thing just seemed implausible. It was too neat and tidy and rushed. It was like they were saying, okay, we need to get him from point A to point B to point C all the way to D without spending too much time on it and coming up with common sense ways on how he could have found out everything. Instead, let's have him take this big nail out of his foot and not make it make any sense. Also, I could be wrong, but I noticed all of the victims were light skinned and most of the villains were dark skinned. There was also talks about uppity Negroes and how some black people think they're too good to be with their own kind. So it got me to thinking, because of the skin tones, was it field slave versus house slave, or was it crabs in a barrel? I'd prefer it to be field versus house because it would make more sense given history, whereas crabs in a barrel is actually offensive because it's like the movie is saying dark-skinned people are bitter and can't let go of the past or whatever, while light-skinned people are always the victims of jealous dark-skinned people. So yeah, I hope that's not what they were going for, but yeah, I give this a 4.5 out of 10. It had a lot of good things going for it, but it also had a lot of mediocre things going for it. I think Loretta Devine was the best part of the first half of the movie, and then her performance sort of goes to the wayside a bit, and it's a little cartoonish at the end. But yeah, it's a fine movie. I can't see myself watching it again, but I do think it's worth a one-time view at least. One thing that I did just remember was that during the flashback scenes of the lead character getting abused as a child, his father kept saying, "Oh, you think you're so much better. You think you're so smart. You like to read. You like to read." Did he grow up during slavery or Jim Crow? Because he's relatively young. He doesn't look any older than someone who was born in the early 80s or late 70s. So why would someone call him uppity as a kid for knowing how to read? That didn't make any sense to me, because reading is the most basic thing that a human being should know.